What's going on, everyone? Gilman with LaVolte Stocks, back with another video today, taking a look at Alibaba, ticker symbol BABA, as we know that it dropped a ton the day before Christmas. So we'll take a look at, what exactly happened, why it dropped as much as it dropped, what my thoughts on that are, as well as, some key support and resistance levels that we could look at moving forward to see if BABA is a good buy right now. So real quick, if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like button down below, subscribe to my channel. I do videos like this on a daily basis, and I would appreciate your support. Hope you guys all had an amazing holiday break. Happy holidays to all of you guys. I really appreciate all the continued support that you guys have shown me. So yeah, thank you. And let me hit record. We will get right into it. So as we could see, BABA, the last price it traded at, or closed at rather, was $222 flat, down $34 on the day and 13%, wiping out a ton of market cap value because of this drop. So how significant was this drop? Well, you could see right there for yourself, right? We got if I put it on the daily chart, it kind of just shows you how crazy of a gap we have on the way down, dropping all the way to 211 at one point before eventually pushing up and coming back to the 222s. So what exactly happened? Let's take a look. So essentially, they lost $100 billion in market value. So the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, filed a anti-monopoly lawsuit or investigation rather, to take a look at the kind of increasing power that Alibaba has. This is kind of a two-way street. So Jack Ma, who is the person who started Alibaba and runs Alibaba, has been in a spotlight since October, because back in October he made several remarks that drew the ire of the CCP, mocking them for being too risk averse and criticizing the financial regulatory system in other ways, to which the Chinese state-run media responded and said, they attacked him, and then after that they stopped the Ant Financial IPO, which was said to be the biggest ever in the world. So this is kind of a back and forth thing between Ma and the Chinese Communist Party, right? So let's take a look at, what that means for the stock moving forward. We'll take a look at some support and resistance levels, but there are some things about Alibaba that I think is really important to understand. First things first, yes, I agree that the company being based out of China puts a lot of regulatory risks that, the Chinese government can come in at any time, and they have more power than, Western governments do, so anything can happen with Alibaba. And while I do agree with that, I think a lot of that is already priced in, right? So if we take a look here, Alibaba right now is trading at a price to earnings ratio of only 24, which is way less than most companies in the S&P 500, right? So if you had a company similar to Alibaba, chances are it'd be trading at a much higher price to earnings ratio. So a lot of the times, this is already priced in, right? This is one reason why Chinese stocks tend to trade at a discount to their American counterparts. The other thing is, we take a look at what Alibaba does. They've got strong positions in e-commerce, cloud computing, digital payments, and other areas, right? They also posted a 30% revenue growth in its most recent quarter, and its marketplaces, including Tmall and Taobao, generate more than $1 trillion annually in gross merchandise volume, more than any other e-commerce business in the world. So you get to really see the power that Alibaba has in, maybe you've seen Alibaba.com, maybe you've seen AliExpress.com, right, as someone living in the western part of the world, if you are in the western part of the world. But we have to understand there's so much to Alibaba that is in China that we maybe haven't even seen, right? Like this Tmall and Taobao is not something that I'd heard of, but it's the largest e-commerce. It's generated more volume than any other e-commerce business in the world. So that just goes to show you the power that Alibaba has. I understand that until this is really resolved, right, we won't know for sure what the outcome of that will be. If they come back and say, hey, Alibaba, you have to break the companies up, that could be bad, right? Similar thing happening with Facebook here, where the US government is saying, hey, Facebook, you got to separate out, Facebook and Instagram and all those other things. So that's kind of the dark cloud, as this article says, hanging over the stock until the investigation is clear. So is it a dip buy opportunity, or are you just taking on a whole bunch of risk? that's something to be, careful of. But let's take a look at, what I see in the stock. So, typically we'd like to take a look at the indicators. And as we could see, the stock essentially since its 1027 high of 319.32 has been coming down quite a lot, right? So even before this was announced that caused this drop, what we found was there was a down trend, if you will, for the past couple months. So let's take a look at, and now let's draw some horizontal lines where we see support and resistance. So when this fall happened, and I was looking at Alibaba, whoops, I did not do that at the right spot. Let me throw that down just a little bit. Yeah, so when I was looking at Alibaba, right, potentially looking to go in, this is a level that I personally was looking at, because to me, let me get rid of this indicator so we could see better. As we could see back on 11/18, 12/15, and then 12/23, which was the day before, we bounced really nicely off of this 252 level, right? So 3 times it bounced off of that level. Matter of fact, if I even if I go back to kind of July timeframe, what we'll see is this was a pivot point. We broke above, came below, broke above, came below, broke above, came below, before finally going above and then finding support the next time we came down. And so this 250s level is a really important level for the stock, in my opinion. We are now under that level, right, after what happened on Friday, or excuse me, not Friday, Thursday, because we were closed Friday. But from so I think point being, right, something similar could happen here, where this is a point that's going to be potentially a little bit difficult for the stock to break through. On another thing that I want to point, another kind of I guess area rather that I want to point out is this 211 area where we bounced on Thursday as well. And then I want to point out 220s, right, kind of right there. Now these lines, like if it says 220 and 18 or 220 something, it doesn't have to be a perfect bounce, right? Give or take, about 50 cents to $1, because we were trying to kind of approximate where these lines will be. We got 220 right there, and then the next line I want to draw was at, and I'll zoom into all these lines for us to take a look at real quick, but let's see, kind of right there. And then one last line I want to draw is at 230. Right there. Okay, so the reason I'm drawing these lines is because to really look at the price action of what's happening, what we have to do is we have to go back all the way to this time frame, kind of the June-July time frame, because that was the last time that the stock was trading at these levels, right? So now what we have to do is we have to zoom in and we have to identify points of support and resistance. You could do that on the hourly chart. I'm doing it on the daily chart because to me right now that's what I'm kind of concerned about more, the holistic bounce that we see. So this 210, rather, let me put it at kind of 211. What we see is that, so this bounce, again, these are daily candles, so it's not an hourly bounce, it's a daily bounce. Found support there, found support kind of there, found a lot of support at 211, and surprise, surprise, that's also where we found support back here. So if the stock were to go down again, I think that 211 point should be pretty good support. The other line of support that I think we have is right here. Let me zoom back. I know I'm doing a lot of zooming, but I want to kind of point out what I see. This 220 level, right? If we go again back to this candle on 6/10, so June 10th, this candle on 6/16, 6/19, 6/20, kind of 6/25, and 7/2, July 2nd. We bounced off of that 220 level, right? So now that we're above it and at 222, I want to see that 220 level of support hold before I kind of go down to that 211 line of support. And similarly, moving up, what do I see? Well, first and foremost, this line right here, I think is a pretty important line because 226, as we could see right there, got rejected, and then kind of had a little bit of trouble getting through it. And then the next point for those two candles was 230 before we had a gap up. So those are levels that I'm watching. On the downside, 220 and 211, and on the upside, 226 and 230 as really close next sort of points for the stock to reach at before it can push up any further. Now, the one thing that I do want to point out now is we've got a huge gap fill, right? So the close here was 256 and the open here was 228. So between 228 and 256, we have the potential of a gap fill. Now, I don't necessarily think that the stock is going to do that in one shot like I typically would call for a gap fill because of, I mean, all the dark cloud, if you will, hanging over it. But, you know, I think the potential for that is definitely there. So currently I am in a debit spread. Let me point out, let me show you guys my kind of thought process for it and why I am in it. So let me send myself a screenshot of that real quick. And I can explain kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this one is through my Robinhood. I'm transferring funds currently to TD Ameritrade, but we will see how long that process takes. So I am currently in BABA 220, 230 calls, expiring all the way in March. So I don't know why it only opened one of them. There we go. Yeah. So 220, 230 calls expiring in March 2021. So it gives me 3 months of time for my analysis or my hypothesis that BABA is going to go up, right? And the reason that I didn't just go ahead and buy, you know, 220 calls is because of how expensive they were. So you can't see it here, but if I were to zoom in, you know, just on my phone, what we'll see is, and you can, you know, check right now, a $220 call. Actually, let me just send myself the screenshot because I think it'll be really easy to kind of walk through this live. And I apologize, I should have had this screenshot on my laptop already, but there we go. Okay, so the reason I didn't just go out and buy a 220 call is because that was $20.75, which is $2,075 for me to bet on my hypothesis being right. So essentially what I did was I bought a $220 call, sold a $230 call. So my cost on this contract was $4.35, which is $435. This does cap my maximum profit to $1,000. So I put $435. The max I can make is $565 because this contract, theoretically, the max it can be is $10, which is $1,000. The reason I did that is, you know, I think long term I am bullish on BABA. I think this was potentially a bit of an overreaction, and I got in at a pretty good price. So as you can see, I'm up about 6% already on a trade that I got in on December 24th, as you can see at the history down below. So looking to hold this potentially, right? If we get some more bad news and it dips a little bit, no problem, because I've got 3 months for my hypothesis to be right. And because I'm in a debit spread, it'll go up a lot slower, but it will also go down a lot slower. Like if BABA keeps falling, my call option, if I had a naked call position, it would go down a lot faster. But by doing this, I'm kind of, yes, limiting my upside, but I think to put in $400 something and still be able to make 500 on that 400 is fine. But that's my hypothesis. So I'm looking, like I said, right, points to push in the 226s, if it could break that, 230s. After 230s, I've got some more lines, but I can share that in a later video. But I do think there is a potential of a gap fill all the way up to this 252 level. Now, one thing to understand is the point of support and resistance, right? If you have support down below, you bounce off of it and you push up, right? The point of a resistance is go up, not being able to break through. If you are able to break through, like if come Monday we are able to break through the 226 level of resistance, then I want to see that hold the support. So if we're over it, if it comes down, I wanted to see it bounce. And same thing with the 230 level. I think these could hold up as good supports in the lower kind of end that I've shown in the 220 and the 211s if we choose to fall. So hope you find this video helpful. I know this was kind of a lot because I've never covered BABA before, so I wanted to kind of do it in great detail. It's below all the EMAs and the moving averages that I personally look at, so it'll take a couple days for those to catch up, whether it's the stock going up, the lines coming down, or a little bit of both. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you're playing BABA or what your thoughts on BABA are. Let me know if you guys enjoy when I share trade ideas. I know sometimes it can take away from the stock analysis part of the video, but I do kind of want to show you that, hey, here's what I'm seeing, and here is kind of me putting my money into it as well. So let me know down in the comment section either way. Hope you guys all had an amazing holiday break. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time.